Hello, my name is Brian of Hessens County, and I'm glad that you could join us again today for another TTRPG Talk. This series discusses tabletop role-playing games and related materials, suggests ideas for your own game, and takes a look at some of my own materials. This is going to be one part of our series on SRDs, or System Reference Guides. If you've not already watched the primer video for this series and don't already know what an SRD is, then I highly encourage that you take a look at that first. The link should be appearing somewhere at the top of the screen somewhere, or that can also be found in the video description down below. Now, the SRD we will be looking at for this video is the Breathless SRD. This was derived from the original Breathless game, both of which were developed by René Pierre Dehaye of TTRPG. You can find the SRD on itch, but René Pierre also hosts a website where you can find this SRD along with a number of others. There are three basic mechanics or concepts that make up the foundation for Breathless. The first of these is the game's skill check system. Standard Breathless has 6 skills that are categorized the different types of risky actions that a character might need to complete in-game. This is pretty normal, of course, but instead of assigning a number to a skill that might represent either a modifier or the number of dice that you roll, you instead assign a size of polyhedral die from a d4 all the way up to a d10, with 12-sided dice being used in rare cases. This is the die that you will roll at any time when you need to test that skill. Major important items are also assigned a die value that you could roll whenever you're using it instead of relying on an individual skill. This works because the checks in Breathless use a rollover system with a static target range. No matter what die you use, if you roll a 1 or a 2, you will fail in completing your action, and there's usually a consequence. If you roll a 3 or 4, you succeed, but there's usually a consequence. And with a 5 or a better, that's a full success with no consequences. This provides an intuitive means of describing how likely it is that your character will be successful at doing something just by comparing that range to the size of die that you have rolled. The second mechanic that is present in Breathless is that the more your character uses a skill or an item, the quality of the results degrade. Each time you use it, you roll the next smaller die. For example, if I have a d10 skill that I am using in game, I start by rolling a d10, of course. But the second time I use that skill, I would instead roll a d8, and the third time a d6, and so on. As you can see, the risk of failure or dangerous consequences will go up exponentially, even if your character is really good at that skill originally. This mechanic plays into Breathless Origins as a zombie survival horror game. The degrading die simulates the sort of wear and fatigue that both items and the character themselves would be experiencing. Gameplay-wise, this forces the character, or the player rather, to conserve their resources and pick their battles. However, the game would not be fun at all if all you could do is safely act 4 or 5 times in a session. So Breathless has a third mechanic that is critical to the concept of the game called Catch Your Breath. This can be triggered at any time, even during combat. It resets all your skills, and in some versions of Breathless games, it might also introduce some healing. However, it also allows the game master to introduce new complications into the narrative. Maybe a new threat appears, or a possible advantage has been lost. This allows the action to continue, but further reinforces the need for the players in the game to pace themselves in order to avoid overwhelming their characters, whether that's because their skills have degraded too far, or because so many negative things have been introduced because they have to keep pausing to catch their breath, that they just can't keep up with the increasing load. I mentioned items. It is important to note that in many Breathless games, there is also a loot or shopping mechanic that allows the players to search for potentially useful items. By rolling a 20-sided die and checking the results against a table, the player or the GM can determine the quality of the item that's been found or potentially trigger a negative event instead. I have seen that in some Breathless games, they also introduce new things into this table where you might be able to find certain things like med packs that you can then use to heal your character without having to rest necessarily, or other special events and items like that. The Breathless SRD has been licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license, so you can use the materials in this SRD confidently so long as you include some attribution language for 4RPG in your game somewhere. René Pierre has helpfully written out some of these already for easy copy-paste into your own document. As I mentioned also in the primer, SRDs will often include other resources so that you can take advantage of the SRD outside of the rules themselves. For Breathless, there is a made with Breathless logo, essentially. But René Pierre has also included a one-page pamphlet template that you can download from itch.io for Affinity Publisher, Canva, Google Docs, and Google Slides. You could potentially use this to create your own one-page game quite quickly by simply adding your own descriptive language or tweaks to the base mechanics that have already been written out and are included in the template for you. Furthermore, the 4RPG website also has items called GAFs in the section for Breathless. These are mechanics that can be dropped into your game quite easily in order to modify the basic game. Some examples of these are an advancement mechanic called Survivor Points that was created by Andrew Boyd of Pendulum Games, or also a sort of battle transformation mechanic for your, Magic Girl or Sentai fighting RPG that was created by Nick Potter of Sustain-A-Spell. If you use any of these, you are encouraged to include an additional blurb into your licensing statement in order to provide attribution to the creator for those mechanics, because all of them are also added to the website under the idea that they are also either open license or attribution license enabled. And that is the basics of the Breathless SRD. If you'd like to discuss it further, of course, please take a look at the various links below or make a comment in the comment section. There are many active communities for Breathless, particularly the 4RPG Discord, and of course the Breathless Jam page linked below. The Breathless Jam is still currently active at the moment, but probably not for very long. But of course, there's the discussion page where you could definitely make comments or take a look at some other issues that people have brought up there. Thank you very much, and always remember to rate your itch purchases. If you'd like to see more material on this topic, please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel or check out the blog at hessenscounty.com.